Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Not Me, Us podcast. I am your host, Jody Johnson, clinical mental health counseling student, your online big brother who is healing himself to help you heal yourself so that we can heal this planet together because the good Lord knows that it needs it. First, I want you guys to acknowledge the sunflower that an elementary schooler made and gifted to me this week. Made my heart absolutely so warm, but that is not what I'm talking to you guys about today. Today, we're talking about the power of being and not just becoming. So as always, I'll give you guys a little rundown of how the episode is going to play out. First, I'm going to talk about how we're always becoming, we're always growing, we're always evolving, and there's a trap behind becoming. There's true power in being. There's freedom in self-acceptance. And before we close out today's episode, I will leave you guys with how I practiced the power of being. So without further ado, let's dive into it, chat. Do you ever find yourself wishing that you could be somebody else, or to be somewhere else, to be something else? And I'm sure you do know that feeling of, if only I was there, if only I looked like this, talked like this, walked like this, or if only I was just like this. But what happens when you actually get there? When things actually change for you, when you feel like your prayers are actually being answered, are you able to then recognize the power in just being who you are right here, right now, in this moment? Or are you so focused on where you think you should be that you miss where you currently are in space and in time? And I'm asking you guys these questions because I catch myself doing this all of the time, thinking that I should be further along in my journey. And in those moments when I'm having those thoughts, I'm not even appreciating where I currently am, even though I'm 22 years old and I'm definitely still growing. And in those moments, I really only feel like I'm half there, if that makes any sense to you guys. I think that we're always becoming, we're always changing, we're always evolving. But it seems like our struggle as human beings is in just being, in existing. So I have this riddle for you guys. Riddle me this, Batman. We're always coming, but we struggle with being. Do you have any guesses? Well, the answer is tomorrow. Tomorrow never really comes, though, does it? Tomorrow always turns into today. But today, I think we're still stuck waiting for it to be, the right time. And if it's not, if we don't feel like it's the right time, we say, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and it never happens. That's why I feel like this topic is so important, because there's true power in being. And when we're able to practice grounding ourselves, being in the present moment, I think it can have such a positive effect on our mental and emotional well-being. So maybe we are our own worst enemies in this. We spend all of this time dreaming of the future while the present moment slips away from our grasp. Wait, why do we strive for more? And that's a rhetorical question, honestly, because the answer is not clear-cut in my brain. It's just not. Because do you ever find yourself scrolling through social media, and I don't know what apps you guys use, but the main app that I use is Instagram, and you just see everybody else's highlight reels. You see their perfection. You see the best moments of their lives, and you feel like you're just not doing enough. You feel like you're falling short. Because you are probably like me, working so hard to achieve something, to achieve your goals, but then you finally get there and it doesn't feel like enough. You don't feel like you're enough. And I guess, I mean, we've all been conditioned in some way, whether it's by society, by the way we were brought up, by the culture that surrounds us, to have these beliefs that, we're not enough unless we're constantly pushing to be something else, to achieve more. And I bring up social media as an example because it's something in our culture right now that gives us this image of perfection that we feel we have to measure up to. And this constant hustle culture around us, don't even get me started on that, but it's this idea that we're supposed to achieve more, be more, do more. It's ingrained in us. And the thing is, I feel myself trapped in it sometimes. I find myself always striving for something more. And in the beginning, it's very, very motivating. It's very empowering. But I'm self-aware enough to know that it definitely becomes a problem when I don't stop, when I don't pause and actually acknowledge where I am right now in my journey. And to be honest, guys, when I'm caught in that cycle, I feel this deep sense of shame and guilt. Like no matter what I accomplish, no matter what I do, no matter what goals I crush, it's still not going to be enough. I start to question myself. Why can't I just be content with what I've already done? Why do I always have to want more? How selfish can I possibly be? And then it stems more negative thoughts like me feeling like a failure, even though I'm pushing myself really, really hard to succeed and, rewrite the entire course of history for my family, for my bloodline. I think the problem is when we're always striving for the next thing, when we're always wanting to do more, it can actually cause us to lose sight of what we've already achieved so far, the progress we've already made, the prayers that have already been answered for us. I think that's where the sense of not being enough actually takes root and takes control of our lives. So, guys, if we're always striving for something, how do we break free from that constant pressure? Well, what if instead of becoming more, we learn to simply be who we are right now? I want you guys to take a moment and ask yourself, what would it feel like to exist in the present moment with no pressure to change, to do more? What does it mean to just be who you are right now? For me, I think back to the moments when I was a kid and I would just venture off into the woods. There was no worries. There was no striving to be anything more. I was just a kid. I was one with the world around me. And, that feeling of peace, of a pure presence, of just being, it's something that I wish we could tap into more often as adults. It's something that I definitely wish I could tap into more. And, I didn't always feel this way. My perspective has only started to shift in the recent years because for a very, very long time, I hated parts of myself. I always saw these things, these traits, these qualities in me that I thought I needed to change to be better. But recently, I've really learned that true growth, it's not about constantly becoming something else. It's about loving who you are right now, flaws and all, imperfections and all. I always just had this constant belief that I needed to become better, but I've realized that I am exactly where I need to be right now. Being present and accepting where I am in the moment, it brings me this sense of peace that I didn't know was possible. And when I actually started to embrace self-acceptance, it gave me more than just inner peace. It brought me clarity and the ability to make better decisions, more well-informed decisions in my life. And in turn, I think that's actually helped me become more confident, and it's helped ease my anxiety that, once was so crippling that I would just lock up and not do anything, or I would just avoid. I no longer have to drown in that self-doubt, or at least not now for days at a time. I'm only in moments of doubt, and I'm able to understand that that moment will pass. And I guess the truth is I'm perfectly imperfect. I don't have it all figured out, but I think that's the beauty of it all. I'm still growing. I'm 22 years old, and I hope that I continue to evolve for the rest of my life. I actually used to look at other people and think that they had something that I didn't, that I need to be more rich. I need to have more money. I need to have more success. I need to achieve more things. But, I've learned recently that I'm already rich, psychologically rich at least, because I live a very psychologically rich life. I don't need external things to feel abundant. It's already all within me. And now that I've actually talked to you guys about what it means to embrace who we are right now and how that shift in mindset can bring us a sense of peace, a sense of clarity, my next question that I have for you guys is, how do we actually practice being? How do we integrate this practice into our daily lives? Because I know that you guys aren't listening to me in a podcast episode to not take anything out of it. So I do want to share practices that I found helpful. Maybe they'll help you. Maybe they won't. Maybe they already help you. And maybe you just want some more insight on them. For me, It's about creating small rituals and habits that help me stay grounded in the present moment in my daily life. Okay, so the first practice that I swear by and I talk about a lot in other episodes is journaling. Recently in the last few weeks, my journaling routine, it's felt pretty performative and it hasn't felt beneficial to me. So I switched it up a little bit. And recently, I've started writing letters to my younger self. And I'm not going to lie, it's been such a powerful experience. I'm able to reconnect with where I've come from and actually remind myself of how far I've come in my journey thus far. It's like this beautiful conversation with me and the person that I used to be, where I can offer myself compassion, encouragement, and even forgiveness for, the things that I used to hate about myself. Another practice that I've leaned into a lot more recently instead of journaling has been praying because it's something that my heart, it's something that my whole soul is craving right now. And when I pray, basically what I'm doing is I'm thanking God for where I'm at in my journey right now. And I remind myself that I am a work in progress and that's perfectly okay. I'm not perfect and I'm learning to be at peace with that imperfection, if that makes any sense. I also use affirmations because I kind of see it as, cognitive behavioral therapy. It's reframing thoughts that I have, especially, when I'm facing negative emotions or when I'm about to do something that's really, really challenging, like, say, a really hard workout that I have planned for the day. It's kind of like giving myself permission to be human and to do my best, even when things are tough or challenging for me. So I'll give you guys a little example. Instead of thinking that I have to do this, I remind myself that I get to do this, that I am actively choosing to do this. No one is forcing me to do this. I get to do this. I don't have to do this. Or another example is, when I catch myself saying, I should be further along. Why am I not here? I pause, I take a deep breath, and I shift that thought to, I'm exactly right where I need to be right now. And then, the last one that I want to share with you guys is one of my favorite practices, and that's mindfulness. And this can be both unguided and guided. When I'm alone, I like to listen to frequencies. I like to practice breathing techniques and accept, whatever emotions start to come up. I let them stay. I let them linger. Especially, since I struggle with anxiety and my anxiety can get really, really bad at times. Yoga has also become a major part of my mindfulness practice because I'm not doing it alone. I'm not guiding myself. I have a teacher who's there guiding me, bringing me back to earth, grounding me to the present moment. It's a reminder to me to be present, to not rush the process, to trust the process. And it also helps me notice when, I'm being a little too hard on myself. Because if you haven't done yoga, especially a hot flow class, then you don't know how hard that shit can be. Because when you're trying to hold a pose for however long and the room is freaking hot, you have no choice but to practice compassion and being kind to yourself because, when you're freaking out, you're going to give up and you're not going to allow yourself to work through a really challenging situation. So in yoga, I'm able to hold these poses while taking deep breaths and practicing saying kind things to myself. And that really powers me through the workout. And one last thing that I want you guys to remember is that becoming and being, they are interconnected. We're always evolving, we're always growing, but that doesn't mean that we have to be dissatisfied with where we are right now. It's okay to acknowledge the journey and still embrace who we are in the present moment. In fact, I'm going to argue that that's where the true power lies, being who you are while still becoming. So guys, what would happen if you just decided that you are enough, just as you are? And I'm going to encourage you guys to reflect on your journey individually or with somebody else. It doesn't have to be with me. You can do this by journaling or talking to yourself. You can share it with a friend, a loved one, your therapist, or heck, if you do want to share with me, you can connect with me on social medias because you guys know that I love to hear from you guys. And recently, I can't tell you guys how much I've been loving the DMs that I've been receiving from you guys. So, of course, yeah, hit me up on Instagram or drop a comment wherever you're listening to this on, and let's continue the conversation because, yes, I absolutely love to hear from you guys. It means so much to me. You can find the podcast Instagram at Not Me Us Podcast, or you could check out the YouTube, Jody MF Johnson. And while you're there, feel free to drop a follow for more updates, more inspiration, more tips, and more content from my personal life. And I want to thank you guys again for taking the time to listen to me share my thoughts and experiences with you. Hope they helped at least a little bit. And if you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world to me if you could rate, review, or even share the show with someone who could use the reminder. It would help the show grow and reach more people out there that might need it. And again, thanks for being a part of the Not Me Us community. Thanks for being here. I love you all. And remember, you do not have to have it all figured out. This is not about being perfect. This is about giving ourselves permission to just be in this moment. And I honestly think that that's enough. So until next time, au revoir.